The vinegar is boiling, my friends. I have feelings deep inside of me that should not exist. Now, this might not be a problem to a lot of you guys, but it is a problem to me, especially because I've been an active user of this particular platform since 2014, about 10 years at this point. Now, of course, I'm talking about the popular note-taking app Evernote. Me, as a professional full-time virgin, I take dutiful and diligent notes on the platform and have been for many years now. Now, for those of you guys that might not know, Evernote is a note-taking service that's been around pretty much since the inception of the iPhone. It was an industry leader at some point with over 225 million registered users. Recently, they were bought out by a company called Bending Spoons that boasted that they actually had millions of paid users. I myself used a paid platform for a little while and realized that it wasn't suiting my needs, so I went back to the first tier of free. And that was sufficient because all I did was make notebooks and then make notes. The way the app is divided is that you could make little notebooks, and within those notebooks, you could have individual notes, and those individual notes make up the notebook. So for example, I had a magic notebook that had all my magic notes. I had a tricks to work on notebook that had all the tricks that I would work on. Notice that I'm speaking in the past tense because ever since Bending Spoons bought them, they laid off pretty much the entirety of their staff and they moved operations to Europe. Another thing they did was hanker down on the free tier. Whereas before you had a nice amount of notebooks that were available at your disposition that you could create, now you're limited to just one. Even then, you might be thinking, oh, Piggy, I don't need notebooks. I just need notes. Well, you'd be limited to just 50 notes. They mentioned in a press release that this is not going to be affecting the majority of their users, seeing that a lot of the free users only have one notebook to begin with. I don't fucking believe that. I don't believe that. I don't believe that for 1 second that the majority of your free users only have one notebook. That's ludicrous. They've also upped their personal plans to $15 a month for a note app. Now, yes, they're providing the infrastructure, the encryption, the security, the platform. But we're living in 2023. $15 a month to save notes is a little bit ridiculous, especially considering you have things like Notion, you have Microsoft OneNote, you have Google Keep, you have Apple Notes. I was going to make a video early on in the year talking about how you could use Evernote effectively, especially if you're a professional virgin like me. And recently, with the release of my brand new book, The View from Down Here, full of moves, tricks, tutorials, a bunch of fun stuff, some anecdotes as to how I came up with the tricks, I was using Evernote and became very frustrated with the amount of glitches and little things that I would come across whenever I was trying and attempting to write the bulk of the book. I would try to use it on my phone and voice to text, and that wouldn't work. And you would think, oh, that's Apple, but then I would go to Apple Notes and it would pick up everything perfectly fine. And just little things that made it a very frustrating experience. So eventually what I did was I made a weird system where I would go on Apple Notes and then I would end up taking that to a separate program, something like Google Docs, and then that's what I would finally transfer over to the bookmaking platform. You would think that an app like Evernote that's pretty much been around since forever, which has had one task, which is getting notes and saving notes. You would think that they would have their shit together. But no, my friends, they don't. So what I've done is that I've moved all my notes from Evernote to Apple Notes. It was a very complicated and dumb process. I've managed to keep my individual notebooks that are all separated. What I do is that I have an inbox, and that inbox are things that I need to address fairly recently. For example, I have video ideas, lots of tricks, little things that I would write down. And then when I'm done with those and addressing those individual notes, they get moved to a separate notebook, like a magic one, or if I need further work on it, it's gonna go in a tricks that I need to work on folder. But there's a level of organization there that I had with Evernote that they took away from me. Now, if they have millions of users, you would make a pretty penny if you would just have the prices for note-taking to be a very reasonable amount. $15 a month for a note-taking app is a little bit ridiculous, especially when the features don't match the other free alternatives. So that's just trying to squeeze people out for as much as possible. And also, every time you log into the app, you get a really annoying notification saying, hey, do you want to join the paid tier? Do you want to join that? This is the last time you're going to receive this offer. No, it's not. No, it's not, because every time I log on and try to make a note as quickly and efficiently as I can, which is the whole premise of the platform, I get bombarded with an upsell. You know, it's bad when they themselves say that we know that these changes are going to have a lot of users reconsider their relationship with Evernote. What a good business model. And then even if I would consider to get the premium model, why would I pay for a buggy app that doesn't even do what it's supposed to do in an efficient fashion. I'm a heavy notes guy. I'm always on my phone taking notes for random things, things that I get inspired from, things that I have ideas, and then work and elaborate on them further. It pains me to say that something like Apple Notes has figured it out, because I firmly believe that an iPhone was designed for a 17-year-old girl, but they figured it out with their Apple Notes. It has so many features now that you have no reason to go to a paid subscription, something like Evernote that's buggy, and then their updates make it worse. And yes, it's cross-platform, but what does it matter when your iPhone app is different than your Windows app and your Windows app runs like shit? Apple Notes so far has been king. I've tried other note-taking apps, and right now it seems to be the easiest one, especially if you have an iPhone. Microsoft OneNote has made a lot of strides. I've used that for a while and it was pretty immaculate. They have a really good system for organization. And that's also cross-platform. You could use that on Windows, you could use that on an Android, you could use that on an iPhone. Google Keep is also phenomenal, but the problem is that it's too simplistic. If you want to do more complicated things, then you can't really do it with Google Keep. But if you want a simple note-taking app, it's probably the best one. But I'm just upset. I'm upset at a company that has all the potential in the world, that has the history to back it up, to tank themselves so aggressively. I would say it's corporate greed, but no, obviously if you're a business, you want to make a profit, but this is not the way to do it. Some advice at the end of the video, even though this video has pretty much all been advice, advising you against using a platform like Evernote. I like to give you advice at the end based on, I don't know, something that might help you in your real life. And I like to use things that are around me in my environment, things that I could grab, things that I could say, hey, this is good. I already talked about my fanny pack. I already talked about those little tech bags. I already talked about, I guess I haven't talked about this. This is a cologne that I bought from Amazon, very cheap, I think 20 bucks. And it's a dupe of By the Fireplace, a really expensive one by, I think, I don't want to say, forgot what company, I think it's Replica that makes that. This is an Arab copy called Latafa Intense Oud, Amir Al Oud, which I don't think there's any oud in this. They just call it that because it sounds fancy. But tremendous, really, really good. As far as how close it is to By the Fireplace, I would say probably 89% close. It lasts forever. This lasts all day, and I would definitely consider recommending it. But if you're in a hot environment, I wouldn't necessarily go with this. This is more for cooler weather, and you figure out what that means when you put it on in the hot weather and people are opening up their windows, not because it's a bad scent, but because it's too much. And you realize, oh, that's what people mean when certain colognes are better for certain seasons. So this one is definitely a colder season cologne, but there you go.
I see you again, when 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 I see you again.